Erev Tov, Rabbi say, we are arriving this evening to the midah of Netzach Shabisod, of victory within the midah of Yesod, which to a certain extent requires a shift in perspective, one that we've discussed already at the beginning of the week of Yesod, but is a shift in perspective that we need to have about all of our Avodas Hashem and all of the challenges that we have in life in general. And this can sound very cynical, but it is practically very real and very uplifting. And that is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to challenge you forever. That's part of reality. That there's no such thing as being alive and sailing. Like there's not a human being that lives in this world that doesn't feel some kind of challenge in the Avos Hashem, the Yiras Shamayim, the Tzidkus, in their avoda, the world of avoda, of laying the foundations for life, is lanetzach. That avoda is lanetzach. It's forever. There's never ever going to be a time that you're not going to have challenges. It's just the way that it is. That's what HaKadosh Baruch Hu created us in this world. Adam la'amul yulad. HaKadosh Baruch Hu put us in this world to work. That's it. That's the avoda. We should learn to appreciate and to enjoy and to. But the only time that a person feels, this is the Bala Musa point out, the only time that a person feels that they are not challenged is when they're going downhill. Downhill is easy. If you feel that life is easy, probably means you're going downhill. If you feel that there's uphill, then at least you know that things are good, right? Meaning there's some opposition to what you're doing. It means that you're working on something. And you might not be working on the right thing. But the idea in general that a person will say, I get to this point in my life that I don't have to work on anything else, I'm done. So that's a very dangerous place to be. It's not a Yiddish place to be. There's no such thing as a person saying, I'm done. The Rebbe was famous for saying that it's not just true in Avodas Hashem, but this is true in work in general. When people would say to the Rebbe that they're retired, he was like, I don't know what the word means. What does it mean to be retired? Like, how do you say that you stop working? You live in this world. How do you not contribute to it? Like, what does that mean? You're like, you can change jobs, you can change careers, you can, you need more time for family, whatever it might be. There's lots of things to say. I'm not working the same hours or the same place or the same, but to say I don't work anymore. So this is, it was, especially in America, in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, when the Rebbe was talking about this, like it was unheard of that a person would like work. Today, people are like, the economy is terrible, I'm going to work until I die, right? But the Rebbe held it as a shita, that like, you work until you die, that's it. Like you don't stop. What do you mean stop? Is netzach Shabisod. Everything that you do is la netzach. You don't stop your avodas. Nothing ends just because at a particular stage, a particular age, you don't say I'm done. And that's true in contributing to the world, and it's certainly true in the world of midos. Certainly true in the world of midos. There's a famous ma'aser that they told about Rishon Zalman Auerbach, that like they had him staying, I think, in England at one point in time. He was like a scholar in residence somewhere, and he was staying at some like very chashuv family who was much older than him at that point, and like whatever the Motzei Shabbos, whatever it was, like he was staying there, and the balabais left, and his wife was still there. And Rishon Zalman started climbing out the window, and they looked at him and were like, what are you doing? It's like, it's an Isur Yichud. I can't be alone in the house at night with this woman. I don't know what time the husband is coming back. Like, they looked at him, they're like, you're the Pesach Hadar, she's an old woman. Like, what are you? It's like, the din is, en apotrapos la'arais. You don't trust you, and you don't trust anybody. It's netzach Shabisod. I don't think that Rishon Zalman actually thought that he was going to do an avera with this woman. I don't think anybody thought that. He said that the din is that you can't be a yichud. You can't be alone with a woman that is not your wife late at night. You can't do that. So, I can't be there. That's netzach Shabisod. I want to live a life of kedusha and tara. There's never a time that I'm off. Never a time. That's ben adam lamakom, and to a certain extent ben adam la'atzmai. There's a place of this avoda which is again counterintuitive to the way that we normatively think of mitzvahs. The whole of Sfiras Omer, there's certain times of the year that people get excited to say Hineni Muchan Mezuzah. In the Sidurim of the Mekubalim, it's for every mitzvah. But when it comes to Srusaimer, so the Lashem Yichud, the Hineni Muchon Mazuman, people are like Hineni Muchon Mazuman to do this mitzvah. I'm ready, I'm prepared to do a particular mitzvah. There's a whole world of Hineni Muchon Mazuman that demands a different kind of awareness, and that is Hineni Muchon Mazuman to avoid an Avera. Hineni Muchon Mazuman to do what is necessary to ensure that I'm not going to end up failing in areas that that I'm working on succeeding. Which means, if you speak to people that are like, some people are like ex-military. So they walk into a room and like they immediately like look around. And you say to them like, Bubala, like, what do you think is going to happen here? Like, you worried? You nervous? Like something's going to happen? It's like, that's just the way that I am. Like ever since that, I can't walk into a room without seeing where the exits are. That's just the way that I am. And that's not an anxiety. It's a teva. Like my nature is at this point up somebody that does that with anxiety. So you take them to a psychologist. There's avoda for that person to do to like not freak out every time they go into a room. But there's any mukhna mazum that any time that you go anywhere, do anything, you're like, and if I figure out that this is not what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants, like what's my exit strategy? Well, if I don't want to be here, where am I going to go? What am I going to do if this doesn't work out? Like what's the situation? What is the answer to this question? I don't want to do an Avera. That's Netzach Shabisod. I want to be a tzaddik. When? Always. Forever. And the final point that we'll make this evening, which is in the word of Ben Adam Lechavera, is Netzach, as we pointed out, is the avodah of Emunah. It's realizing that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is big, very infinite. Infinite, beyond infinite. La Netzach. Is La Netzach. And when you can communicate, just for a moment, like the La Netzach of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, even in as much as we have no capacity to absorb that, to understand that. But the way that we speak and the way that we raise our children and the way that we interact with other people, so then understanding that we have emunah that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has the big picture always in mind. So then it's easier, one, to communicate the necessity and the avodah of tzidkus, of being a tzaddik. It means that when somebody says, maybe I'll just, fudge this number on my taxes, you say, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is la netzach. It's worth being a tzaddik. It's la netzach. He's forever. So, and it's also to understand the tzidkus of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the tzaddik. Tzaddik hu Hashem. Rebbeinu Shalom is the tzaddik. And how can you say that the Rebbeinu Shalom is a tzaddik? Sometimes he doesn't feel like such a tzaddik does. Sometimes it doesn't feel like Hashem is being such a tzaddik. Sometimes he does things that we look at that and we're like, I don't like that. I don't think that that's very nice. I don't think it's right. I don't think it's moral. Everybody has those questions. Any intelligent, honest thinking person has questions. They look around, they go, I don't like what HaKadosh Baruch Hu did. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu is Lanetzach, means he's got the big picture. He's zoomed all the way out. He's scrolled to the end of the end of the movie. He knows what the last page of the book is. Like, he's Lanetzach. So that means that there's parts of this that I don't get that he does. And to be able to communicate that, the Rebbeinu Shalom is Lanetzach. And therefore, you should be a tzaddik, and you should understand that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is a tzaddik. All of that is the word of Netzach, Shebisod, to be continued tomorrow.